Those dogs are good.
Football is exciting. Berwick football is especially exciting.
They could play a team that has 1 win and 8 losses. And if they beat Berwick, it's made their season.
Hey, we used to cross body block. Ram that headgear right in the guy's stomach.
I love Berwick football.
We heard so much about Berwick, we took a 5.5-hour drive out from Pittsburgh to see Berwick play.
Now play your hearts out. Everybody give 100%. Everything you got out here tonight.
It was a show. We were putting on a show the whole year long. It was a 15-game show of Berwick High School football.
It doesn't come easy. It don't come easy.
Win or lose, there are Bulldogs.
You know, it's as professional as you're going to get for the high school level.
They put their names on the map with their football.
This is the biggest hit in town.
We don't rebuild, we reload.
For the past quarter century, the Berwick Bulldogs have taken a major bite out of opposing high school football teams. In 25 seasons under veteran coach George Curry, the Dogs have racked up 258 wins against just 52 losses and 3 ties. During Coach Curry's reign, Berwick has been voted USA Today's top national prep team an unprecedented 3 times. Curry's Berwick squads also have claimed 4 Pennsylvania AAA state crowns in the past 8 years, 15 conference championships, and are consistently ranked in the USA Today Top 20. Each season, the school's modern-day feats become part of a growing legend. ABC's Nightline, Sports Illustrated, and dozens of newspapers and TV stations have focused on Berwick's success. Yet with all that notoriety, winning football is hardly new to this former industrial town along the Susquehanna River. Through the years, Berwick rosters have been lined with familiar family names. Names like DePippa, DePasquale, DeFebo, Laubach, Pruitt, Melito, Taylor, and many more. Decade after decade, Berwick's homegrown talent and dedication to winning has marked each successive football generation.
It's the ethnic background in Berwick. It's just something that's never changed in this town. And that's what I consider, just the hard work, and from family to family, the same type kid comes out of this town.
A lot of it has to do with an ethnic background. That started with the American Car and Foundry Company here. That a lot of families moved in here because of the foundry. And during the war, they had 10,000 people, World War II that is. They built 15,000 tanks, light tanks. They built bombs, bridges, pontoon bridges. And these people, their families were here. And you have generation after generation playing now. So it all is part of the fabric of football.
A lot of kids' ultimate goal is to play football for the Berwick Bulldogs. You know, in other areas, kids talk about, oh, I want to play for Penn State, or I want to play for the Fighting Irish, or whatever. You know, in this area, in Berwick, you grow up saying, I want to be a Bulldog one day. And, you know, as far back as I can remember, you know, I don't remember classes, I don't remember schoolwork, but I remember coming to the football games on Friday night with my friends, and, you know, it was the big show in town, and, you know, you always wanted to be a part of it. And
I wanted to be a Bulldog, you know, ever since I go to the games, sit there and watch all the big guys.
You can use tradition to build. And in our town, everybody's father and sons and neighbors and cousins all played football. Because let's face it, I mean, they set the foundation for Berwick football. I mean, these guys are the founding fathers of the sport.
In the fall of 1888, the Washington Monument officially opened. Grover Cleveland ran the White House, and the Eastman Company unveiled the first Kodak camera. That same year, Berwick scheduled its first scholastic football game. It was a rough start. The boys from Berwick Academy strapped on their leather headgear and promptly suffered a 50-0 pasting at the hands of Wilkes-Barre's Harry Hillman Academy. By 1903, the Bulldogs posted a respectable 3-1 mark, and in 1909, Berwick enjoyed its first undefeated season at 5-0. As the 1920s progressed, Berwick fans were hardly roaring. A staggering 132-0 loss to nearby Nanticoke in 1923 marked the decade's low point. But in 1928, a new coach, C.C. Junie Bream, stepped in, and after a losing first season, ignited a winning tradition the Bulldogs would never relinquish. The 1929 squad, led by star tackle Leo Ram Radamus, built a 10-1 record at the team's new home, Crispin Field, which remains Berwick's home turf today. Bream coached 8 years, compiling a .650 winning percentage. Radamus went on to become Berwick's first superstar, earning college All-America honors capped off by an appearance in the North-South All-Star Game. Radamus, whose son and grandson later starred at Berwick, played professionally with the Wilmington Clippers. Bream's teams in the early 1930s kept the Dawg's winning tradition alive. Led by hard-nosed players like Frank and Mike Suchak, John Bloody Sirkovics, Norris Boxcar Martz, and Jack Taylor, Berwick strung together several winning seasons under Bream. During the late 30s, Berwick's success dipped, but individual stars emerged. One such standout, 1936 grad Paul Stanko, went on to star at Villanova and became Berwick's first NFL player with a successful 10-year pro career. In 1937, a young, handsome new coach, fresh out of college, came to Berwick. After a slow start, Coach Joe Coviello revitalized a somewhat sagging Berwick program. Coviello's 1939 and 40 teams lost just 2 games each, and in 1941, Coviello's 11-0 Bulldogs recorded Berwick's first unbeaten, untied season in 3 decades. The powerful Berwick defense yielded just 18 points all season, a record that stands today. Joseph J.J. Cologne, who later became a 4-year starter at Penn State, including a 13-13 Cotton Bowl battle against the Doak Walker-led SMU Mustangs, captained and played fullback on the 1941 Berwick squad. Cologne, one of Berwick's best all-time punters, led the nation in punting while a Nittany Lion.
We had a team that was a real close-knit group. And anytime you have that, you have a pretty good football team. And as our record shows, we had a good football team.
One of the best games I ever saw in 1941 when Cologne played. We went up to Myers, and no way should we have beaten Myers. They had the Flanagan boys, the 2 best football players in the state. The first 8 minutes of the game, we had 14 points on them, and we beat them 20-6. I never forgot that game.
George Robsock, one of Berwick's most devoted and vocal fans today, played end on the unbeaten 41 team.
I learned in those 3 years that you grew up to be a man, and we played a tough game. It was single wing in those days, and cross body block was going on, and there was not many rules like they have today. And it was tough football. We went both ways, offense and defense. Them hands have to be out. Never let a guy get on this side. When I played, I never left him get on this side because I would be a dead duck.
In 1942, Coviello's last season, Berwick piled up a 9-1 record. During the next 2 years under Coach Nels Hoffman, Bulldog fortunes soared with 20 wins against 1 loss and a tie. Hoffman's 1944 team, led by Nick Kalanick, Frank Lupashunsky, Bernie DePaul, and Bob Christopher, held opponents to just 32 points during a 10-1 season. Following World War II, new coach Tony Denby picked up where Hoffman left off, as Berwick compiled a 40-10-5 record in Denby's 5 years at the helm. Players like Len Bartek, who went on to star at Penn State, Steve Galletti, and Joe Yalch, a Fordham standout, were just 3 of dozens who helped Coach Denby build on Berwick's winning tradition. 2 top players from the 49 team were quarterback Lou Bianchi, a 4-year starter, and center Tony DePaul. Bianchi, a star at Catawba College, eventually was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. While the 1950s started slowly for Berwick, the 1955 team, coached by former Bulldog great Bob Davenport and featuring rugged players like Dick Allgatt and Bill Laubach, rang up an 8-2 record and claimed the Keystone Conference Co-Championship. Co-captain Ron DeMelfi earned All-State honors and became a 3-year starting linebacker at George Washington. In 1959, Ben Jones took over as Berwick head coach. He wasted little time making his mark. His 1959 Keystone Conference champs compiled an 8-2 mark, the school's first winner since the '55 squad. Led by All-Staters Joe DeMelfi and Kirk Kressler, Jones' 1960 edition went 10-2, winning the Eastern Conference crown. Jones coached but 2 seasons, and in 1961, Adam Szyminski took over the Bulldog helm. Szyminski's 1964 squad, featuring co-captains Tom DeMelfi and Alf Melito, built an 8-2-1 record. The Szyminski coached 1966 Dogs, fueled by a potent offense, capped a 10-1 season with a 27-9 win over Central Dauphin from the Harrisburg area. Co-captains Billy Lyons and Eddie Mossich led the 66 effort. When George Curry arrived in Berwick in 1971, the team and town enjoyed a great tradition, but also a burning desire to get back to their winning ways. A quarter century and 258 wins later, Berwick fans have more than realized their dreams. Today, Curry's Bulldog program sits at the pinnacle of high school football.
We were curious of what kind of a coach he was going to be, and when at the beginning of the season you have your 2-a-day practices, but coach decided to have 3-a-days, and we were a little concerned about what kind of guy we got here.
What I think everybody in the town got excited about was his opening game was West Scranton. And we had always had a very hard time of beating West Scranton. And we beat West Scranton 34-12 that year. And from that time on, it just kept excelling.
He could fire you up. He was a real motivator. He'd have you believing you can go and play the Pittsburgh Steelers and beat them.
Curry's tenure has been marked by his flat-out enthusiasm, tremendous motivational skills, and the use of highly sophisticated pro-style offenses and defenses, the mainstay of the Bulldog repertoire.
I have a son that's playing now, and he comes and tells me these different formations, different shifts, and I just sit there and shake my head going, yeah, well, like I know what he's talking about.
I love playing for Coach Curry. I really did. Coach Curry is such a positive coach. Some coaches are negative. Some coaches try to cut you down and make you and build you back up stronger. Some coaches try using negatives. You know, They want you to get mad at them, and I'll show you what I can do. But Coach Curry goes the other way. He wants you to think that you can do anything in the world. And playing for him, you feel that way. We have fighters, and we have kids that will do anything they have to do to win. And Coach Curry brings that out in you. And he makes you think that nobody can beat you. It doesn't matter if you're 5'10", 200 pounds, and he's 6'5", 280, you're going to block him because you're from Berwick and you're better than he is, and you've worked harder and you've done more, and that's his motivation.
The way I approach coaching is probably the way anyone would approach anything they love. I love football. That's my life. I grew up with a passion for the game, and then I played the game, and it's just never stopped, so I love what I'm doing. I remember being at the Kingston Armory at a physical fitness contest with a lot of football coaches and phys ed teachers from surrounding high schools. And the one coach in particular was very familiar with Berwick, said, "It's a graveyard of coaches. Don't go there." He said, "I'm telling you," he said, "don't go there." So I said, "Well, why?" And at the time, Berwick had 1,000 students in a high school. And I was coaching at a small high school where we had maybe 300 students. So it was a bigger job. There were more players. I know they had a tremendous past, a great tradition. So I figured that just gave me a challenge that I wanted to take, and I said, well, I'm taking it. Our kids will get up and lift weights 6:30 in the morning before they go to school. Okay, well, when we call a session here, they're here working out every day. All winter I had over 100 youngsters lifting weights. So the Berwick kids are a motivating factor for me as well. So I mean, I'll put the time in if they want to put the time in, and we just push each other, and the results speak for itself.
While Curry certainly is proud of his Berwick record, he's equally proud he has helped his players receive millions in college scholarships over the years. Curry's players have made their mark on the college level both on the field and in the classroom. Lawyers, doctors, military men, engineers, and other non-football successes. And Curry's fieldhouse office walls reflect his pride.
We never want our youngsters to wear their success in a negative way. Okay, we preach about that. You're role models. Our kids, they do cancer telethons, heart work, heart association, blood drives. I mean, they help churches. Anything you need from these kids, they're willing and ready to help you. I don't want you ever to think because you're a great football player and we win that the world owes you a living, because that's not the way it is. And I don't let that happen.
You know why you're doing what you're doing, and that's good in any situation. Football, basketball, baseball, and your job, anything you're doing. Parenting, sure. You know, if you know why, you're gonna do a lot better, and you're gonna be more successful.
With Curry's early coaching success, he's had many opportunities to leave Berwick, but he's stayed put, sometimes for interesting reasons.
I remember one time we sat down at the dinner table and I said, and I had an opportunity to go to the University of Tennessee. I said, hey, how would you kids like to move to Tennessee? You know, your dad has an opportunity to work. Oh, they start crying. I mean, I ruined their meal. I said, that takes care of that. I've always had everything you want right here. Okay, we have kids that want to play. We pack our stadium. We have great fans. The community is behind us. I got great coaches. And right now, I got guys like Andy Mahaley, who was a great player here. He's working with me, and my son Kaz, and I got Bobby Croup help me, Keith Seeley. These guys were all great players. John Pruitt was one of the greatest high school players I've ever been around. And these guys are all part of the staff now. And in 25 years, you know, we built a pretty good dynasty and maintain it year after year. So why would I want to leave that?
Successful football programs thrive on their fans, and even though it's a town with 27 churches, The major place of worship on most fall Friday nights is Berwick's Crispin Field. Wherever you travel across the country, the Berwick name is well known among prep football connoisseurs.
The people who support you and are there, to pat you on the back, win, lose, or draw, they're the people you count on as being the number one supporters. And in the spirit of the town, 99.9% of them are that way. I mean, it's a great atmosphere to grow up in.
When you see 5,000 to 6,000 people from a town of 10,000 at the games, they're behind it. Some people just wait. They cannot wait till the opening game. It's their life.
I have a friend from New York City. He's a policeman with NYPD. The high schools up there that he would go to see play would have 200-300 people at a ball game. He comes down here, they have 10,000 people, they have fireworks, people go wacky, and he's been coming to see Berwick football ever since.
There are people that come from New York. There's people that come from Massachusetts, and they just adopted Berwick as their team.
I have a niece and nephew that live in Woodbury, New Jersey, and after every Berwick game, I have to call them up, even if it's midnight or 1 o'clock, to tell them the result of the ball game.
Being in the Guards, I go all over the country, to different training places, and they all know Berwick football. It's amazing.
I never sit at a football game. I never sat in my life. I stood on the opposing side of the 10-yard line. I stand there, and that's for years. Same spot. People know I'm there. And the reason why I do that, I can scream at Curry and he can't hear me.
Berwick football is special. There's no question about it. I look forward to the season. I'm not like Cam Malcurie that talked here before, because when he goes to a game, the one game he got a little excited, he found himself with a lit cigarette in each hand. So these are the things that happen.
When you walk out on the field and you see those people packed, they pack these bleachers and they give you they're cheering and they get into it, it's unbelievable. If you're going to coach football, this is the town to coach it in. We have a saying here, you win championships with championship people. You win championships with championship people.
In Berwick, winning championships is as common as a winter blizzard. During the past 15 years alone, Curry's teams have compiled an amazing 181, 18-1 record. Curry also has coached some outstanding players. Bruising fullback Anthony Malcurie led the 1972 squad to a 10-1 mark, scoring 34 touchdowns and earning Big 33 and All-State honors, as well as a scholarship to Boston College. Mike McCabe, another standout on the 72 squad, earned a first-team All-State selection. Flashy John Pruitt is one of Pennsylvania's all-time greatest running backs, which is saying something in the Keystone State's football-rich tradition. Pruitt, who played at Syracuse, still holds Berwick career and season rushing marks. A first-team All-State choice, Pruitt has been part of the Bulldog coaching staff for the past 15 years. The Pruitt family, in fact, has rolled up more than 7,000 yards for the Bulldog cause. Another Curry standout was Big George Schechterly, a 1975 graduate who earned All-State honors and went on to block for Heisman Trophy winner George Rogers at South Carolina. Coach Curry's historic first unbeaten, untied team became a reality in 1981. Led by quarterback Mike West, part of Berwick's growing quarterback high tradition, the 81 Dogs rolled over 13 straight opponents, grabbing the Eastern Conference title and a number 2 state ranking. While the 82 Bulldogs finished an outstanding 11-1, earning a top 15 national ranking, the best was yet to come. Led by All-State quarterback Joseph Bo Orlando, the 1983 Dogs compiled a 13-0 record, earning a number 1 ranking in USA Today's National Prep Poll. Along with Orlando, who went on to West Virginia and the NFL, Andy Mills and Lou DePippa powered the record-breaking Dawg defense to an incredible 11 shutouts in 13 games.
In my opinion, one of the best teams of the Curry era we ever had, I think, was 1983. They done everything. If you look at the record.
You know, it sets the standard of greatness, and everybody tried to live up to that. You were measured against the 83 team from then on.
Berwick's 1988 team may not have been national champions, but it earned the distinction of being the first Curry squad to win 15 games in a season, capturing Berwick's first Pennsylvania State AAA title in the process. If ever there was a human highlight high school football team, the 1988 Dogs fit the bill. With talented All-State quarterback Jake the Snake Kelchner hooking up with talented Lance Avina, Berwick's all-time leading receiver, the Bulldog fans were treated to visual delights every weekend. Defensively, the Dogs were keyed by the play of lineman Chris DePippa and defensive back Avina, who still holds Berwick career marks for most interceptions and blocked kicks. Running back Dan Frank also turned in some workmanlike efforts as Berwick ran opponents into the ground. Against Aliquippa, Kelchner and Avina stole the offensive show with a pair of nifty touchdown passes, the second a fantastic effort by Avina to find the end zone.
Aliquippa had 13 Division I ball players on that team. There are 4 in the pros today from that team. And to beat them 13-0 and shut them out, I just think that game just sticks out in my mind because of all the athletes they had.
On the other side of the ball, the Dawg defense crushed Aliquippa's vaunted running game. Even for the demanding Berwick fans, the 1988 Bulldogs proved to be true crowd pleasers. In Berwick's vaunted history, no Curry team faced the build-up and pressure of the 1992 squad, as the Bulldogs were ranked number 1 in USA Today's preseason poll.
You're going to have cameras in your face. You're going to have newspapers. Hey, that's Berwick football.
Senior All-State quarterback Ron Paulus, rated the nation's number 1 schoolboy player, led a Bulldog offensive unit that had fans salivating and opponents trembling.
We had the attitude that we can't be beat. The great teams that go through Berwick feel that way. I know we felt insulted that the other team showed up. You know, how dare they come in here and try and beat us, you know? And I think you have to have that attitude that you're the greatest things alive, and that's why you're going to win every game. They say adversity builds character. You know, a loss helps build character. well, we had enough character built, we felt, and we were ready to go undefeated and go down in the history books, and that's what we wanted to do.
The only time the Dogs needed an extra dose of character came midway in the regular season. Berwick scored early against Hazleton on a Paulus to Dante Pecorelli bomb. But the game was decided only when Paulus vaulted a teammate and cruised the sideline for a long touchdown run and the narrow 14-6 win.
You did do what you had to do. We are 7-0. We are in the driver's seat. We need a big Quad A school, good football school. We're going to be in the playoffs. But we got to get back to pro football.
For the balance of the season, the Dogs trampled everyone in their path. Paulus honed in on receivers Pecorelli, Chris Orlando, and Mike Bennett, while Jason Soboleski and Bill Hetler kept the ground game on track. The hard-hitting Dawg defense, led by Hetler and Mike Bennett, took care of the rest. Berwick's final test of 1992 came in the state title game against unbeaten and explosive Blackhawk, averaging nearly 50 points per game. Berwick's devastating defense forced 6 Blackhawk turnovers, deciding the issue early. On offense, Paulus, who moved on to Notre Dame, capped his brilliant prep career with 4 touchdown passes to put the December title game on ice. The Dogs had done it.
That game, we were so fired up and we were so driven to win that game. There was 3 minutes left, and I looked up at the scoreboard thinking, we're going to win this game. We're going to do it. It's finally happening. So it was a lot later in that game that we realized that the game was over. And then, the last play of my career was a touchdown pass to Bill Hetler. I threw it and kicked the extra point and walked off the field and started crying, because it was such a relief. We had pressure on us all year, from the beginning of the season with ESPN and USA Today and Sports Illustrated, everybody coming in here throughout the year and all the pressure that we put on ourselves. And it was such a relief to know the year was over. And that was a great feeling, to know that we ended the year the best. But the sad feeling, the terrible feeling that ran through me was, I can't believe I'm done.
Like the 92 season, 1994 was one of high expectations. Led by junior quarterback Dave Robbins, the experienced Bulldogs faced one of their toughest schedules ever, facing 11 playoff teams. As expected, riding Robbins' accurate arm and a strong defense, Curry's club rolled over its first several opponents. Then a stunning 42-29 upset at the hands of Williamsport slowed the Berwick bandwagon, but just temporarily. After whipping nationally ranked and defending state champion Allentown Central Catholic 29-18 in the playoffs, snuffing out the Vikings' 26-game win streak, the Bulldogs next faced a powerful Mannheim Central team, which also was nationally ranked and riding a 26-game unbeaten string. The game quickly became an offensive show, and in the final minutes, Robbins found favorite receiver Brian Remley for the go-ahead touchdown. The two-point conversion made it 37-30 Berwick, with little time remaining. Mannheim wasn't about to roll over. With the clock and Mannheim on their last legs, Mannheim reached the Dogs' 4-yard line. On the next play, Jason Knaus pulled off one of the most sparkling defensive gems in Berwick history, preserving the Bulldogs' thrilling win.
In Berwick football history, I don't believe they ever were confronted with a challenge like this. And I've been head coach 29 years, and they were the greatest football games I've ever, they rival It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, and those two ball games, you can throw them in there. They're all classics.
In the state AAA title game, Berwick had little problem beating Western representative Sharon 27-6. Robbins led the offense, and the Dogs' defense stole the show as Mike Bennett's interception had Berwick sitting pretty. In 1995, quarterback Dave Robbins and company picked up where they left off in 1994, humbling opponents in game after game with a mix of potent offense and stingy defense. After the 8th game of the season, the untested and unbeaten Bulldogs found themselves ranked number 1 in the USA Today poll.
Games are not won in the newspapers, they're not won in polls. It doesn't do anything for us as far as winning football games. We still go out and do it the old-fashioned way, a lot of hard work.
And that's exactly what the 95 Bulldogs did, running the table in the regular season behind a strong defense, Robbins' arm, and the controlled running of senior Ross Stoico. In the playoffs, Berwick faced nemesis Mannheim Central in a second straight Classic State semifinal showdown. This time, Berwick's fairy tale script seemed in need of an extensive rewrite. Mannheim took advantage of 2 early and uncharacteristic Berwick turnovers to build a quick 10-0 lead. To make matters worse, a last-second Mannheim touchdown pass against the Berwick defense before the half had the Bulldogs reeling, and Mannheim ahead 17-0.
no matter how loyal a Berwick fan you were, you just were wondering, can they pull this game out?
I walked in at halftime, and I'll tell you what, I said, I've seen some challenges before in my coaching career. This is a doozy, but we can do it. We can do it. And I told the kids right, if there's anybody in this room that believes they cannot win, take your uniform off. Don't even go out there. Now, who believes they can win? Stand up. They bounced up.
Curry's halftime method was hardly madness. Slowly, Berwick began to rise from the dead. Robbins' clutch fourth down pass to Remley and Stoico's touchdown blast were the first step. Robbins and Remley soon hooked up again, and the senior quarterback followed the clutch first down pass play with a keeper for the touchdown. Now, Berwick, picking up crucial momentum, trailed just 17-12. As if on cue, the Dawg defense did its part. After Robbins found junior running back Brian Smith for a first down, he punched it in himself for an 18-17 Berwick lead. With time running out, Mannheim's offense mounted a final march downfield as it had in the previous year's thriller. And like an instant replay, junior Brian Smith's game-saving interception dealt a crushing blow to Mannheim. While many believe the '94 win over Mannheim was Berwick's greatest ever, that thought was quickly erased by the '95 Dogs' dramatic comeback.
That game has to go down as one of the greatest games of all time. To come back and win that football game, I think it tells you a little bit about our youngsters.
Berwick's exciting win over Mannheim set up a second straight meeting with Sharon in the AAA state title game. For Curry's club, there would be no letdown. The hungry Dawg defense struck early, and running back Ross Stoico found the end zone. A pair of Robbins' touchdown passes to Brian Remley and Justin DeJohn Domenico gave Berwick a secure 20-6 halftime pad. And when Robbins found the end zone early in the second half, Berwick was uncatchable. Robbins, who headed to Boston College upon graduation, concluded his Bulldog career by lofting a 58-yard touchdown pass to Remley, joining Ron Paulus in making his final Berwick pass a six-pointer. Curry's Bulldogs had an unprecedented second straight AAA state title.
Whether you win in Berwick or whether you win at Ohio State, you're still having fun doing it. We got our thing going here, and we're in the same position as any other winner. They either love you or hate you, and that's challenging, and that's interesting and exciting, and we just enjoy it.
When people hear the word Berwick, they think football. No matter where you go in the country, those who play or follow the sport know about the Berwick Bulldogs. Coach George Curry and the Berwick fans wouldn't have it any other way. And if the bleachers in historic Crispin Field could talk, they'd tell many more tales about Berwick's coaches, fans, families, players, and teams. Most of all, those bleachers would whisper of football's lofty place in the fabric of this Pennsylvania town, and of Berwick's long, hard-earned journey to the top of the high school football world.